Road America's list of drivers who have set foot here is a who's who of racing. Andretti, Fittipaldi, Unser, Donahue. It's fitting since today's field features IMSA champions, Le Mans race winners, Daytona 24 race winners, Sebring race winners. The list goes on. It'll take some steep chops to stand out in the crowd at this race. We'll see who manages to do so by stepping atop the podium as we get ready to watch round one of the IMSA iRacing Challenge. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is former real-world IndyCar driver Richie Hearn. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. We've talked about the who of Road America, but what about the track itself? Let's step in a little closer to learn a little more about this legendary facility. Welcome to Road America. Nicknamed America's National Park of Speed, it's easy to see why just by looking at how the track is laid out. Long straights are a major feature, and drivers will build up incredible momentum before they find themselves interrupted by tight 90-degree corners. In fact, for a 4-mile circuit, it has shockingly few turns. It also has little in the way of variation in layouts. The main course is only broken up once with a single chicane added in the bend version. But don't take this to mean that it's a boring track. Elevation change happens many times over a lap, with a few places taking you into corners which are quite blind. But two of the turns on the back half of the course are perhaps the most distinctive. One is the Carousel with its more than 180-degree radius. It just feels like it never stops. The other is the Kink. Terrifyingly fast with very little runoff, it can end someone's race in a flash. As you'd expect, the heavy braking zones make for some ideal overtaking spots. Turn 5 sees plenty with its downhill entry. The hurried downs can offer drivers a chance at a sneak attack if you're brave, and then Canada Corner gives you one last shot before the lap is over. It's no wonder major organizations such as IMSA, IndyCar, NASCAR, and the SCCA all host major races here. All in all, many drivers rate this track as the best track in North America. Many who hop in the seat and try it can quickly understand why. Really is a fantastic track. It's a great one to kick things off here for this short little series. But Richie, why don't you go over the nitty gritty about Road America, especially with your experience here?
Yeah, it's one of the few tracks we have left that it really feels like you're actually going somewhere. It is 4 miles long, 14 turns. Great track for these cars to start their series off in. Long straightaways, you're going to get some good drafting, heavy braking zones, up and down through the hills in Wisconsin. One of my favorite tracks. I think anybody who's raced here is probably one of their favorite tracks. In the IndyCar, it is so fast, but it was one of the few places that you really got to open the car up and kind of get a feel for it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what this race is going to unfold, but it's going to be a great track for these GT4 cars.
Absolutely, which is a fun car in itself. And speaking of that, why don't we go over the details of exactly what this race will entail? We are having 3 rounds this season. This is the first one. It is the new Cayman, the Porsche 718 GT4 Clubsport. And they'll get a 10-minute qualifying, which will start here in just a moment to sort the order of this grid. But it's going to be a 60-minute race, and it is open setup. So hopefully these drivers have had some time to get with their crew chiefs if they're not as good at setting up the car and making sure they've tweaked them to their liking. Thankfully, they are a relatively simple car to set up compared to some of the higher end some of these guys have probably driven out here before. Of course, we also have a pit reporter with us today. Peter McKay has joined us. Peter, welcome in. Now, I know you follow IMSA very closely, and you watched the Michelin Pilot Challenge, which this car competes in, and how last year's race went. So what are you expecting because of that?
Well, as you say, it's a pleasure to be here, and the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge Series is the feeder series for the main IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, and last year's round at Road America was just incredible. We saw actually a Scotsman winning. I didn't choose it for that reason. Robin Liddell and Maro. It was a wet and dry race that was actually shortened because of bad weather from 120 minutes to 75 minutes, but we were not shortchanged of action, and it was decided right on the line. An extraordinary race. In fact, only one Cayman GT4 in that race, but I think we're bound to see more of those this season. And here in iRacing, of course, the accuracy is so close, and what a great little car to really open up around this layout here in Wisconsin.
Certainly should get a fair bit of speed coming down those long straights. Talking about the weather, though, Richie, I'm looking at it and it seems pretty ideal to me. Not too hot, not too cold on that track surface temperature. What are your thoughts? I know this car has the new tire model, so I'm wondering if getting the tires heated up will be an issue.
Probably not. They do a full pace lap, so they're going to get plenty of time to get those tires up to temp. But yes, those weather conditions are pretty much ideal. 91 track temp. That's the key thing in iRacing, seeing what that track temp is, and should be good for the whole race. Once those tires get warmed up, they got a really good feel to them.
And they're going to have to get them warmed up in the qualifying, which just starts now. In the practice, for those curious, Scott Andrews topped the times over Michael Cooper. And, well, I know I'm partial, but Tom O'Gorman, Cincinnati native, my hometown, looks like he's going to round out the top 3 of that practice session. So those are the ones we'll need to watch out for. Some other names we've seen on this channel as we watch them take off on their outlaps. Ethan Simeoni has been very quick, especially in this car. We've watched him race in the Porsche over in the Porsche Owners Club series that we've been covering. Same thing with Gregory Lefougue, plenty of experience there. And Connor Blum also hailing from there. So number of drivers coming in with a lot of experience in this car. Some of them in real life as well, Richie, because there's the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge that IMSA hosts. And I know a few of them I've seen are coming in from racing that in real life.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys, they know this track firsthand. Maybe not so well on iRacing, but it's so accurate, it's going to feel real. The biggest thing that's going to be different between real life and what we're seeing here today is in qualifying, you drop that wheel and you get that 1X. That time is disallowed. So you have to be a little bit more careful, maybe making sure you're staying on the track to get that time counted. With only 10 minutes and over 2-minute lap times, you're only going to get a couple laps. So there's not a lot of time to make a mistake.
In your time racing here in real life, were there actually spots where you could maybe flirt with disaster, put a wheel off in the grass or the dirt and gain that 100th or 2 that you were looking for?
Yeah, pretty much the last corner, you could just drive it in and come off and maybe dip a tire off into the grass. Not too hard, but you can cheat it a little bit. The track's changed a little bit since I was here. When I was racing, they had the bridge going over the corner right after Canada Corner. It was a blind tunnel you went through. Now that's all opened up. So you definitely didn't flirt with that. That's where Memo Gidley had his big wreck. But now it's opened up. But we didn't have that problem with those 1Xs in there. But you can't drop a wheel too much, otherwise they'll spit you off into the wall.
We're just watching Blake Mullen go through there. And now we've got Tom O'Gorman on the screen. Looks like he's going to be the first to start a timed lap. Takes quite a while to get around here. Qualifying times were just over 2 minutes just to run a single lap. O'Gorman into the first corner, looking relatively tidy. But as we mentioned, getting those tires up to temperature are going to be critical. And I expect the times to come down even after this first corner. As he comes through turn 3 onto one of the longest straights and into one of the more popular passing zones. But down into turn 5 here, Richie, they've got that downhill braking. And I understand these cars do have traction control. Is that a case where you want to kind of have it cranked up a little bit heading down into there?
Well, yeah, this is it's a great spot to pass, but it kind of narrows up, and you have to commit to making the pass, and hopefully that guy gives you a little bit of space. You can see he goes out onto those black rumble strips. That's allowed there to maximize the use of the track. Going up underneath the Corvette Bridge, another passing zone if you can get a good run up that hill. And then coming down where he is right now, Hurry Downs, coming down into that corner right before where he's at right now, that's a good passing zone. But then we go into the Carousel. I think with these cars too, you'll be able to see them go too wide through these corners, so it's a lot of action.
Yeah, shouldn't have too much trouble like you see in some of the high downforce machines following closely, I'm sure. Some other names you might recognize in this series that are racing: Gabby Chavez, of course, known for running in IndyCar, has also had plenty of IMSA experience. He's out here hailing from the Indiana club. Gabby, however, originally from Colombia. I'm surprised he didn't ask them to change that club. Guess he's willing to call the Hoosier State his home. Let's see. I think this might be his first time lap. Not sure if this is. Yeah, it looks like this should be a time on the board. So he and Tom O'Gorman are going to be some of the first to get times in as he climbs up the hill. Number 53 up into the timing line. Let's see what it's going to be. Nope, that was an outlap, actually.
Yeah, I think Gorman's got the first time lap. He was smart to go out right away because you can see we only have 5 minutes left and we haven't even had a time yet. So some of these guys delayed going out. They're only going to get really one fast lap. And there you go, 2:17.1. His fastest in practice was a 2:16.1, probably with a little bit of the draft. But he's going to get another lap in here.
He's getting a few others in. Dakota Dickerson from the Prototype Challenge finds himself into 6th temporarily, but a lot of them are shifting around as more people manage to get one on the board. Michael Johnson, who we are watching right now, is coming around. I think this is going to set a time for the Florida driver. Peter, you found an interesting bit of information about this driver, not just an IMSA driver, but involved over in NASCAR apparently as well.
That's right, Joe. Michael is in fact a NASCAR champion engine technician with the Joe Gibbs team, and he's running the number 18 on his little Cayman today. But of course, that's the number of the car that he looks after in the NASCAR Cup Series for reigning champion Kyle Busch, who of course had a little IMSA experience at the Rolex 24 this year in a Lexus.
Yeah, it certainly drew a crowd. A lot of the Oval guys came over to watch that one. Now we've got James Pasek as Pezic comes up the straight in the number 40, running that iconic pink livery. This is one that will set a time a little slow, though, a 2:20. That's going to put him in 9th, still halfway up the field as we're waiting on a number of drivers to put one down. This is Travis Hill now that we're looking at in the 22. That's a 21.6 for him, so he'll slot in just behind Pezic and Blakemolen. And one of our IMSA champions here, Joao Barbosa, joins us as the field continues to grow. Number 5, taking his Porsche to the line, a 2:20.9 for him. Still, the fastest marker is that 2:17.1 from Tom O'Gorman, the first time to be set.
And here comes Tom coming around for his second lap. He's going to be able to complete, he's going to get one more lap in, just barely. He'll be one of the few to get 3 laps in. We'll see what he does here. 2:17, basically 2:16.8. So he does drop that time a little bit. I think as those tires come up, they're going to feel a little bit better. But he was, like I said, he was smart to get out of the pits right when qualifying started. He's going to be able to get a 3rd lap. Some of these guys are only going to get 2 laps. Here we go, 2:18, 2:17.8 for Conwright. It's going to be a good time for him.
2:17.7 for Macquarie.
Yeah,
that puts him into 6th. We're still waiting on about 4 drivers to put a time in. Simeone had an off track on his first time around. Looks like Johnson's going to get his first time one. Tyler Cook as well made a mistake on his first one, as well as Boole. Looks like Johnson going to be the first one of those 4 to cross the line. And a 2:20.8 will be decent enough to only put him in 15th.
And we got a guy right on top. Scott Andrews just put the fastest lap so far, 2:16.5. Cooper, too. Michael Cooper is right close to that. He's only 4/10 off of that time. So we got a nice little battle for pole between those 3.
Coming up to the line as well. I noticed Simeone did not get a time again that time by. He is under the gun now as we watch James take a second time lap. Number 40 gets it down to a 2:18.9. Big improvement. And that unfortunately actually won't take him that high up the grid. Still in 13th.
And these guys we're seeing now, this is going to be their last lap. They're not going to have enough time to get all the way around. We are going to have a few guys that will be able to put another lap in. One of them is Tom O'Gorman, who's coming through Canada Corner right now. So he's getting close to finishing that last lap.
Apparently very experienced in this track with victories here as he comes around the final corner. The 94 has about 3/10 to make up on Scott Andrews. It is a decent gap. Connor Blum down and across the line. Very fast, which we're used to seeing from Connor Blum. That'll put him up into the top 10. 2:16.2. That's an improvement and enough for Tom to be back on the pole.
Yeah, it's going to be his last lap. We got 38 seconds left. It's going to be real close. Scott Andrews is going through the kink coming up to Canada corner. We'll see if he can get through as we watch Jaden Conwright
Cooper did
take
improve
that last lap.
But Michael, unfortunately, is still in third. Looking to see who else can complete. Dorian Mansilla stays in fourth as well. Lafougue still in fifth after finishing his qualifying. And here comes Scott Andrews and Tyler Cook. I'm not sure if they're going to make it.
They're going to make it. I think they're going to. Oh, he's not going to make it.
Time ran out.
He missed it by a couple of seconds there.
Oh, you said it before that the drivers were going to have to hustle to get all 3 qualifying laps that they were allowed in. And unfortunately for Scott, he was just shy. So that sets our grid for today. Let's go through our starting order. Tom O'Gorman will start on the pole with Scott Andrews in second place. Michael Cooper will be P3 at the drop of the green, and Dorian Mansilla will start on the outside of row 2. Then you've got Gregory Lafougue starting 5th. He proved very fast when we watched the race at Auto Club just last week. Jaden Conwright will be next to him in 6th. Benjamin Waddell starts 7th today with Maxwell Root in 8th. Then you've got Tyler McQuarrie starting 9th. And Richie, it's going to be Connor Blum rounding out that top 10.
Yeah, starting 11th is going to be James French, and right next to him in 12th will be Nicholas Boole. 13th will be Dakota Dickerson, and next to him will be James Pesic. 15th is going to be Tyler Cook, and 16th will be Dao Barbosa. He joined the session late, so he didn't get a lot of practice. Travis Hill starting 17th. Next to him will be Gabby Chavez. He also ended the session quite late. 19th will be Michael Johnson. 20th will be Jerome Blakemolen. And 20th will be Ethan Simeoni, who wasn't able to set a time.
Ethan going to have to start at the back of the field of 21 with his speed that he usually has. I think he's going to have his work cut out for him, making some overtakes. So we wait for the pace car to take off.
I was going to say the good thing about this track is there's going to be plenty of passing opportunities, but it's a fairly short race. So some of those guys in the back are going to have to be pretty aggressive right out on the opening lap.
Now, only 60 minutes here for the event today. Last of them working their way out there, waiting on Chavez and Boole to line up now. And we heard Richie talking about that pace lap going to be important, just like in real life, prepping the car, getting the tires up to temperature. So we expect to see some cars weaving. We'll see who has got the experience here on iRacing and knows to try and get everything ready to go as we take off up towards that infamous turn 1. Curious to see if we'll have anybody wind up visiting Peter here today, because Peter, we talked about it before the race. There could be some damage on cars after they start. They do have that spare car, the free repair, sitting and waiting for them if they get that damage. But hopefully we won't get too many visiting to you after the first lap is over.
Fingers crossed. And I've just noticed on iRacing that Kenton Koch, Michelin Pilot Challenge driver who impressed so much at Road America last year in the wet in the Audi R8, I can notice he's in having a sneaky peek before he has his go in the iRacing Pro Challenge a little bit later on.
And we've watched Kenton race as well in these Porsches. I'm surprised he didn't sign up for this one. Suppose he's just saving himself since he'll need all that energy for the race later. They come down under that Sargento Bridge, heading into the popular passing turn 5. Cold tires, though. That's something that those who may have stepped away from iRacing a while, Richie, and are just coming back, I feel like maybe they need to be a little bit more aware down into this corner on the first lap just because of those cold tires.
Oh, absolutely. They don't warm up like the old tire model does or did. So it is a little tricky. Going into that turn one, you get a long run after the green flag, so it's very inviting to just send it in there. But unfortunately, it narrows up on that exit. I'm gonna assume we're gonna see a few cars off on the outside of turn one coming to the start. I hope not too many, but I would be surprised if we don't.
Yeah, I feel the same, honestly. It looks like a lot of the drivers going to go single file here. Guess they want a little bit of space on this warm-up lap before they'll have to get double file once again for the official start, heading down through the hurry downs into turn 8. Another place where I've seen a lot of drivers go off as well, getting greedy into that braking zone. Left side tire is going to take a beating around through the carousel. I haven't had a chance to do a lap at this track in this car yet. I'm curious if the kink will be flat out or if they're going to need a little bit of a lift or a breakthrough here.
Yeah, I haven't either. I've only done only time I've raced this car is at Monza, so I'm not sure either. We'll have to jump on board once they get going to see if these guys are lifting or not.
So now head into the Kettle Bottoms. This is where a lot of the coverage is with the trees. The forest gets pretty thick back here, and Richie was talking about it. Most tracks today really try to clear those trees out and get us good sight lines for viewers, which is nice, but I'm kind of in agreement that I like some beautiful scenery. I like a sense of speed for the cars as they come down these fast straightaways.
Yeah, you can see how close the walls are, though, so once you go off, you're like a ping pong ball through there.
Peter's been talking to some of the drivers, apparently getting some information about that run through the kink. Real quick before we go, Peter, what'd you find?
Yeah, well, a guy who knows a thing or two about racing a Porsche, Pat Long, I watched some of his track tips, and he said a lot of these fast corners, you want to get the speed change done early. So if you are going to lift early, then back on the power. And, if there's one guy who knows about racing Porsches, it's Pat.
Absolutely. As O'Gorman has control of the field with that pace car Porsche off and into pit lane. He's waiting, he's holding them for a long time here. Green flag is out as we go racing for the IMSA iRacing Challenge Series. O'Gorman did not get the greatest of starts, almost a bump draft with 3 in a line on the inside line to the outside of O'Gorman. Scott Andrews is going to try to break deep down to the first corner. If he can send it around the outside, he could take the lead away. He's going to get squeezed a little bit. O'Gorman holds him off behind them. I'm not seeing any incidents. It's a clean start.
Yeah, very, very clean start. These guys are tightly packed up, and the bump drafting will come into play as Tom O'Gorman does take the lead, scoots in front of Scott Andrews, but Michael Cooper there is now going to get into the draft of Tom O'Gorman as they head down the hill to that braking zone we were talking about earlier.
Cooper's boxed in, back in third. He thinks about 3 wide, thinks better of it. Andrews has the inside line with the overlap on O'Gorman into turn 5. If he can accelerate off the corner, this is going to be pass done. He does indeed, as it looked like O'Gorman took a little bit of an off track there, going wide. Now he's going to lose second position even. Michael Cooper. And he makes contact. Unfortunately, it looks like Root and Blum just touched him.
Yeah, that all started with Tom getting on the gas a little too hard at the top of the hill, got a little bit loose, and everybody had to check up and got a little bit of contact.
That is a shame to see him go from the pole to well back. He does have that spare car, depending on how bad that damage is. We'll see if he wants it this early on, but it will put him under the gun. Apparently, we're understanding there's a few more incidents in the back. We'll get to that in a second as we continue to watch Andrews lead Cooper. They're gapping Mansilla, who is currently sitting in third in that number 7 machine, down into Canada corner for the first time. And Cooper not taking a look. He's going to just sit in line. In fact, it's mostly single file through the field already.
Yeah, you're better off waiting until you get to coming up to the front straightaway and get that draft, because otherwise you'll just get drafted right back. So the timing of your passes comes into play as well, especially when we get closer to the end of the race.
And Scylla, one of the drivers coming in with Porsche experience, racing in the Mobile One Super Cup, as well as the Carrera Cup. And he's going to get that slipstream as they come across the line. Not sure that this is going to be enough of a run. Scott Andrews with a couple car lengths gap, hitting turn one once again. And indeed, Cooper's not going to have the chance into T1 here.
Yeah, if Cooper's smart, he'll probably just stick with Scott Andrews. Scott's got a fast car, and these guys can just work together and maybe gap the rest of the field so they don't get into a big fight with everybody else. So might just sit there for a while and just try to get a little bit of gap over Mansilla, who's sitting in third.
Back in third place, Mansilla under threat from Conright. Jaden in the 88 looking to the outside as Dorian goes defensive into the corner. Downhill braking and a little bit shallow there from the number 7. Could an over-under be on the cards? Not quite. Conright stays behind, but look at the train that is forming now.
Yeah, we got a 5-car battle for third place, and they're just going to stay together. And we'll see what happens when they come out of the carousel down towards the kink.
Our favorite Scott has been watching drivers in and out of pit lane. Peter, I understand you had a few visitors.
I certainly did. For some reason, Nick Bull, the 2017 Rolex 24 winner in the PC class, he started from pit lane. Not quite sure why, perhaps maybe late.
Yeah, it's an unusual decision at the start as it was relatively calm. Didn't really see much in the way of craziness, so that didn't quite pay off as he probably wanted. We're watching this train now work its way through the kink. Mansilla leading Conright, Waddell, and LaFougue. Down into Canada corner. Nobody's going to duck out quite yet. Maxwell Root, though, looking very strong in this portion of the track. He's gaining ground up through Bill Mitchell Bend, over that blind crest, and into the final corner. Who's going to get the launch?
You can see how those two in front are starting to gap. They're basically 2 seconds up, 2.5 seconds up to those guys battling for third. So smart move by those two.
As we watch from Mansilla, Conright's starting to be under threat. Waddell closing in as he gains a little bit of ground. He takes a peek coming up to turn 1, thinks twice about it, gets back in line. Could be the run down to turn 5 that gives him what he's looking for. As he stays in line, LaFougue dropping a little bit behind them. That's good news for the 99 car, as he'll need that gap in case he does go on the attack. A little bit of a bobble coming off the corner. As we ride on board, they pick up speed, weaving down towards turn 5.
This is a very, very long run down towards turn 5. You can see how they're starting to pick up the draft, but it does narrow up. We have seen some good passes so far, but right now everybody's just staying together.
Used to racing in a Hyundai is Waddell, but hopping over to the Porsche and handling it quite well as he's into the top 5 already in these first few laps of the race. Not sure that we're going to get a pass here, so I think we might have time to look at the replay on lap 1. Let's see which one we've got spooled up here. Looks like we've got Tom's unfortunate incident, who has gotten back out going. He is in 15th right now. Here's down into turn 5 where he loses the lead.
Yeah, he kind of opened the door for that pass to happen, and then he's going to lose another spot to Michael Cooper. But you can see right here, he's going to get on the gas right there and just kind of checks everybody up as he comes across, collects a couple other cars, and does a little bit of nose damage. He is back out going, though. He didn't come into the pits. He's up to, looks like 14th at the moment.
Now we're going to look at Simeone's wreck. Peter, I know you got a look at this on the monitors. What happened here?
I didn't catch the accident, but I did see him coming through. I did see him coming through pit lane, and he's now 1 minute and 15 seconds behind. So he's at risk of coming off the lead lap.
Ooh, he was off track on the way up the hill under Corvette Bridge. That was weird. The last of the drivers running, and a long ways back, 47 seconds behind the next driver who you saw have that hard hit in the incident with Gorman. That's Connor Blum in 20th. Looking at our leaders once again, you talked about it, Richie. It looks like Cooper knows the game here at Road America. I haven't really seen much in the way of attacks. I wonder if he's just sitting and waiting patient.
Yeah, well, Sky Andrews got the quick car, and he's able to sit in the draft. They're running about half a second faster than Mansilla right now, so they're just opening that gap and just kind of trying to make it a 2-horse battle instead of a 7-horse battle at the end.
Impressive stats for Cooper as well. 29 career victories, 61 podiums that he has racked up. So certainly a fearsome competitor as he continues to stay on the back of Andrews. Scott, who is actually close to my age here, so he's certainly been around the block, but he actually comes from Formula racing as well, running Formula F in the F1 or F1600 in 2015, but has switched over here to Tin Tops and seems to know his way around.
Yeah, let's go back to Gabby Chavez. He's our big mover of the race so far. Started 18th. He's all the way up to 9th. Obviously, some cars going off in front of him, but he's done a good job staying out in front of him. He's in front of James French at the moment. Got a little bit of a gap to catch up to Tyler McQuarrie, but so far he's got a clean car and moving on up through in the top 10.
There's another driver that went from open wheels here to sports cars. And Richie, I understand you did a little bit of sports cars after your IndyCar career, if I'm understanding correctly. Is that transition difficult?
It's difficult from an IndyCar standpoint because the car is so much heavier. Probably the biggest thing is understanding how the thing doesn't stop. I wish I would have done more. I did a few in a Viper, had a lot of fun, and I probably should have started that part of my career earlier on. But it's a lot of fun. It is different, but if you're a good driver, you can adapt and just give it a few times, and you just kind of figure it out.
Yeah, good driver worth a salt, I'm sure, is able to adapt. As up the hill, Chavez still leading James French, and James not able to gain much here, still a second back, so Gabby can breathe easy, at least for the time being. Back in 4th place, we were looking at that train earlier. Mansilla was leading it. He's still in 3rd, and he is gapping them. Conwright does not seem to have the pace. The tires should be up to temperature now, so Dorian apparently getting comfortable a lot better than the 88, who still has a threat from behind with Waddell.
Yeah, Dorian doing a good job dropping down to the 217 4s. Unfortunately, the leaders are running 216 8s and 9s, but he has been able to gap those the guys right behind, and we're starting to get a little bit of a stack up here behind Conwright. We got Conwright, Waddell, LeFougue, Root, and McQuarrie all starting to stack up, and then not far behind that will be Chavez.
Watching from on board Benjamin's car, as the 99 continues to stalk the rear wing of Jaden Conwright. Down through the Hurry Downs, under the bridge, and into the Carousel. Conwright, a rather young driver, I should say, as he's only 21 years old rather. But he competes in the Porsche Mobile One Super Cup, so he knows a Porsche, understands the handling characteristics unique to this make of car. But also another one that ran Formula Racing way back in 2014, has 12 career victories himself. Down into Canada corner. Looks like Waddell still not going to be close enough. They're starting to be caught by Gregory LeFougue in the 19, we should point out. Ooh, look behind them. That's close between both Root and McQuarrie for 7th.
Yeah, those guys just packing up a little bit. Going to come up to the front straightaway here. We'll see if McQuarrie can pick up the draft. Root gets a little bit sideways at the apex of turn 14. He's right on the back bumper. Root's going to take that inside line, make him go the long way around, which is definitely possible. And here he goes. He's going to pull out. We'll see what happens. It's a drag race into turn 1.
Yeah, he immediately went defensive. Root's going to have his work cut out for him. Let's see what he can do off the turn. And it looks like McQuarrie's going to break a little bit early, maybe an over-under. Once again, weaving down to the inside, the number 11, trying to cut off any opportunities for Tyler. Now through turn 3, this might be what he's really waiting for.
Yeah, McQuarrie did a good job. He kind of backed up his entry into turn 3. to get that run onto the straightaway. He does have that run. Obviously, Root's going to take the inside, but you can make that pass on the inside stick, but you're going to have to be late on the brakes. And here we go. See if he tries it.
It doesn't have much of an overlap either. Could he go for that over-under? Once again, not quite. That one not nearly as good as what he saw out of turn 1. So Root holds on to 7th. This back and forth is dropping them off of Lafuga, who I mentioned before. So he's stretching away and gaining on that group that we were watching earlier as they come down into the hurry down once again. Oh, and the lead with a little bit of a look. Cooper, and some contact as well. Getting into the rear of Scott Andrews, letting him know he's there.
Yeah, so far, so much for just hanging in there. He was trying to go around the outside into the carousel. I don't know if they had a little incident before that, kind of made Cooper a little bit mad, or he's just letting him know he's there. But you can see right off the back bumper of Andrews, Cooper's right on to the back of him, and they come into turn 12, Canada corner. Not able to do it, but he's definitely putting the heat. And what's happening is Dorian's done a good job. He's dropped his lap times down to 2:17.0, so he's matching these guys. These guys start battling. They're going to have a new friend.
Well, that won't be good news for them for sure. Battling with one car with you is hard enough, but having 3 in a fight, that'll be some fun for us as they come up the hill. A little bit of a bad exit for Cooper, it seems, as he drops back.
Yeah, he didn't get a very good run off that corner, but he'll pick the draft up. These guys slowed themselves down about 0.3 of a second. Meanwhile, Dorian was 1/10 of a second faster, so that gap is going to start closing down if these guys keep battling just like this.
Also had a change for position as O'Gorman managed to get past Pasek. So Tom, and actually just lost it back, I think. Looks like James has managed to get it right back on the front stretch, so maybe too early of a move for O'Gorman. No, not quite. Here he goes again, down to the inside. The Cincinnatian finds himself back up to 12th, but for how long? And here comes Tyler Cook behind them as well.
Yeah, Tom O'Gorman's been driving pretty aggressively, trying to get back to the front where he started after that mistake. He does have a little bit of damage on the front, but it hasn't been hurting him too much. But now he's got a healthy gap to the next group in front of him. As James Pesek's going to try to go around the outside. Gorman doesn't make the same mistake he made earlier and hugs that inside line.
It's a little tight there with Cook, though, as he sent it in hot. And looks like Pasek almost lost 2 positions there. Oh, and the same mistake as before from O'Gorman, off out of turn 6.
Yeah, you can see the damage on the car. But yeah, unfortunately, he's going to be mad at himself for making the same mistake twice. You can see he gets out on the grass and just kind of snaps over, pancakes the wall on the left, rips that left rear tire off, and his day's done. He's going to be able to make it back, but he's going to be done even after he gets that free car.
Back up to our leaders because it looks like Cooper is right behind Andrews. And I think he might be on for something now, the way that he has been getting closer and closer. We hop on the roof of the red and white number 10.
I don't know if he feels like Andrews is holding him up, but he's decided he's going to start racing.
So putting some immense pressure on that yellow machine. Getting ready to start lap 8 here as they come across the line. His quickest yet, actually, from Michael Cooper, a 2:16.7. Andrews matched it with another 2:16.7 and also his fastest lap. So I think they're pushing one another at this point here, Richie.
Yeah, and as I went back to that last lap, talked about Dorian, he had his slowest lap so far, 2:18.1. So he's dropped back about 5 seconds. So that battle is non-existent. Meanwhile, Dorian's going to have to worry about, he's got Conright and Waddell chasing him for third.
In fact, I think Waddell might be onto something here because Conright has got some pressure of his own. They're coming down the Moraine sweep, not looking like we're going to move here from our leaders. So as we take a glance, we'll look to the inside. Speaking of glances, that number 99, thinking about it, he's deep on the brakes, maybe too deep, as he overshoots the corner slightly. Benjamin Waddell loses the time that he made up, just like that.
Well, you can see from that overhead camera shot that they are catching Dorian. So Dorian I don't know if he pushed a little too hard and lost his tires a little bit, but he's starting to fall into the clutches of these guys.
Certainly is going to be that three-way fight that we were expecting, but not with the same guys that we were thinking of. They come into the carousel. Dorian, has he overcooked his tires slightly? We're only 20 minutes into this race. There's quite a ways to go. Let's listen on the kink here. Just a confidence lift for the third place driver. Now in through the trees, but it's not saving him. Conright looking closer than ever. It's 0.8 of a second between them now.
Yeah, while we were watching that, Gabby Chavez had a moment right before the carousel, did lose a spot to Dakota Dickerson. He's got James French all over him, so we got a great three-car battle for that 9th spot.
Yeah, this is very tight here as they come out of Canada corner. French unfortunately suffering from a little bit of internet connection, it seems, as we're seeing a tiny bit of blinking for the 45. Won't hurt him speed-wise, but of course it'll make it tough if he wants to fight these two. If you're new to sim racing, just makes it hard to tell where his car is sometimes. Little bobble for Gabby there, Richie. I think he's eager to try and get this spot.
Yeah, he had a little bit of moments, same thing. He's a little bit hard on the gas coming off the corner. He's stepping out on him. You can dial in that traction control maybe a little bit more to help you out, but it does maybe slow you down a little bit, but it's definitely a little safer. We'll see how this goes. Got a long ways to go into this race still.
Really
we got a pass for the lead. Michael Cooper just went around the outside of Scott Andrews. Oh, no, he didn't. He didn't make it. He went around the outside. He braked late and couldn't get it stopped, as you just saw on screen there. Michael Cooper. Yeah, let's get a replay of that because I just switched over and just saw as it was happening. Michael Cooper just sends it on the outside braking zone here. And unfortunately, Scott Andrews saw it and was able to do the over-under. Here it comes.
Great stuff from that yellow machine. Just outsmarting his rival. But that answers our question about Michael Cooper. He is not sitting around for sure as he finally took a swipe at him. Even though he lost a little time, he's still within a half a second. This game is not over. Watch from on board Michael's perspective here as he tries to claw that ground back. Come down into Canada corner. Number 10 looking to try and get some of that back as he breaks into that 90-degree right-hander. Let's see if it got him anything. No, he lost a little bit of time. 0.6 of a second now. So is Andrew starting to turn up the wick? As all this has been happening, unfortunately, we have already lost drivers. It looks like, Peter, you've had a few join you early.
Yes, unfortunately, the double ALMS champion, Jeroen Blekemolen, the Dutchman, he has pulled out for the day. He's parked up, and also Connor Blum as well. Both drivers, their race is over, sadly.
Glad to see we're losing some of our field. Still 19 running as we ride on board with Chavez once again, really pushing that final turn. Still not going to pay off as French is able to hold him at bay. The slipstream will bring them back together. You'll see that blue car get bigger in the windscreen. And then suddenly they'll have to brake here for turn 1. Chavez gets it down to 3/10.
He's driving really hard. The pass that James French made on him was because Chavez went off at the kink and was able to keep going, but he lost all that momentum, opening the door for French.
And a change of position between Pasek and Cook. Tyler's going to get into 13th behind them. I wonder if Chavez is going to have a shot here, though. This is looking a little bit better than what he had off the exit of the final turn. Little weave to the inside from French. He's feeling under threat. But then he comes back to the racing line as they come down to the corner. Pasek taking it in deep. Still not going to do anything for him. Excuse me, Chavez. Pasek in the other pink car there. Flashing his lights at him. Trying to get in his head. Not sure that's going to do much here, though. Looking back at Lafougue, we haven't watched him in a while. We wondered about him trying to catch the battle ahead of him. Well, he's caught one of the cars, but Conright has pulled away. It's Waddell that he's chasing in the 99.
Yeah, this battle I was watching a little bit. It tightened up earlier on in the lap, but spread out a little bit now as we get to this point. But this battle is warming up. We do have a bunch of just basically two-car battles out there. Mancella's been able to pull away from Conright. But Waddell and Lafougue battling hard for 5th spot.
Lafougue normally races a car probably near and dear to Peter's heart in the Aston Martin. The Vantage cars. The 99 gets chased by the number 19. But Lafougue, another one that has experience in the Pirelli GT4 Sprint X Series, and of course the World Challenge as well, a little bit before that in 2017. But also races in this series that it mimics, that this virtual series mimics here, the Michelin Pilot Challenge, just in that Aston Martin that I mentioned a little bit earlier. He's continuing to stay right in the tire tracks of that 99, but he's not in a position yet, at least giving himself the opportunity if he finds a mistake from him.
Up front, battle for 1st and 2nd, still about the same after Cooper's bonsai move into turn 5 there. He's kind of held steady. They have pulled steadily ahead of Dorian. They're about 7.4 seconds, 7.2 seconds ahead. So he's kind of calmed down a little bit. I'm sure he'll make another run as we get closer to the end. Look like we're just about halfway at the moment, as according to the time. It is a timed race.
Yep, just about 35 minutes left on the clock that I'm seeing. Those laps that you see up at the top are estimated that we've got for you, our viewers. Scott Andrews, our leader, if you're just joining us. Michael Cooper has been chasing. Andrews started on the outside of row 1, but an early pass got him ahead of O'Gorman, our pole sitter, and captured the lead. Hasn't looked back since, but Michael Cooper has been threatening. He's had a stab or two. Neither has been successful quite yet. They have absolutely dropped the rest of the field, though. It is already 7.5 seconds back to Mansilla. These guys are blazing a trail. Joao Barbosa, the multi-time champion, who's with us, is still at the back of the field, but he's fighting with Travis Hill in the number 22 as we watch from on board. Down, plunging through the carousel to one of the lowest parts of the track.
Yeah, he's got a really good run on Hill right now as they go through the kink. Just a little bit of a lift and then just pick that draft up. We'll see if he tries to make a move. I don't think he's close enough just yet, but he's definitely creeping in, trying to take that 17th spot from Hill.
Hill comes out of the corner a little bit off that apex, car sliding. Barbosa gets closer now, up and over the hill, looks very strong through that blind corner. Let's see what he can do on the front stretch. He's staying right with him, following exactly where he goes. Ahead of them, that is Michael Johnson. That's for position. He must have had a mistake because he is slow, and Travis Hill is going to get him. Is Zhao also going to be able to sneak by? They're starting to pick up pace, and it's going to be close when they come up to turn 1 here, Richie.
Yeah, you can see the damage on the front of Johnson's car, so his top end speed is gone as these guys spit by them. Johnson's just kind of hanging in there, but now it's a 3-car battle for 16th spot.
Sad day for Michael Johnson, unfortunately. Still, as Barbosa comes out of turn 3, let's see if he can get himself the momentum. Not looking that great. Travis Hill responding well to the pressure from behind. 22 has a handy 0.7 of a second gap back to Joao Barbosa.
Yeah, and then the graphic we had on the screen just a second ago, you can see the time difference between these two. Those two guys are running the 220s, and Johnson's running in 231, so that damage to the front of his car is really hurting.
And something happened to Chavez. He's in pit lane. Oh, we had a wreck. Gabby has unfortunately ended his day a little bit early. This happened in turn 8 out of the hurry downs. Let's see if we can pull this one up. Goes into turn 7. This looks
he's
very
all
similar
by
to what we
himself.
saw from O'Gorman.
This is where he had his earlier mistake. Right there, he did the same thing. He got on the gas, only this time he hit the wall. He probably could have kept going. Didn't look too bad, but he decided to exit and finish the race.
Yeah, so looks like we've lost another one. We're down to 18. We look at once again P1 and P2. Peter, I have to say, though, even though Mansilla has dropped off of these two, I guess you can't blame him too much because he's relatively inexperienced compared to some of these guys.
That's right. This season is actually only his second season ever racing cars, and in fact, he's going to get a bit of a shock for his Argentinian warm blood coming to race in the Carrera Cup Great Britain this year. So he's even going to get the joy of racing at Knockhill up in Scotland as well.
I'm sure that'll make you happy, and can't wait to see how he does out there. We ride on board with Mansilla. Many South American drivers have jumped up to Europe and had to brave the cold. Sure, he'll have a great career ahead of him considering the speed we do see with such little experience. He's still leading Jaden Conright behind him about a second and a half. So he's got him at arm's length. The 88 really can't do much from there unless he starts to find ground. And I see a driver joining you, Peter. I think Michael Johnson is sick of that slow top end. Looks like Peter's running down to check to see what's happening in that pit stall, but I can see
That's
from out
right.
of the booth.
I can see him in the pit stall now.
Yeah, you can see he's going to get that car fixed up, get back out there.
Here he goes. He's on the move.
Slower and slower.
It looked like he took fresh tires as well. Saw him go down off the jacks there. So that will give him a little bit of speed to try and make up for that time lost. It was almost exactly 60 seconds cone to cone for the number 18. Meanwhile, we got action with the number 16, it sounds like.
No, not number 16, just P16. We did have Barbosa did make a move on Travis Hill, and he was right down there into turn 5. So Barbosa move him up to 15th spot. And here's the replay of it.
Wow, he was a long ways back. He was starting to gain on him. There's about 2 car lengths here by the time they got on the brake. And watch this. That car just disappears.
Yeah, I did a good job getting that car slowed down, taking that spot. Travis giving him a little bit of room, but this is the best battle on the track. And
Counter to Canada corner. Hill's going to get him back.
Yep.
Cleanly by. Barbosa's got to do it all over again. That or these two are just having fun out there. Again, there's no points, no cash on the line. This is all just for some entertainment. Watching from onboard Barbosa. He's gaining quick here. This was a good exit out of the final turn. Using that slipstream. Looks like he's stalling out a little bit though. Trying to gain on Hill. He made it from a long ways back before.
You can see he was on the rev limiter a little bit there, like he shifted to 6th a little bit late. He might have just decided just to sit there, maybe make the move where he made the move earlier, coming down to turn 3.
So we continue to watch. Might have to jump over on LaFouk's had an issue. Let's check in on that. This looks like, is it turn 8 once again? It is, and it's an exact copy of what we saw with Chavez.
Yeah, same thing. Dropped a wheel out into the gravel, and it spins him around, noses into the tires. Gonna go on board with Gregory here.
As we watch this replay, I can tell you that Barbosa did make the pass on Hill, so he's back into 15th. Big hit there for LaFouk. Right on board now. Hailing from Club New England, but not where he's originally from, of course. Joao, born in the in Portugal, coming across the pond, finding a lot of success here in American sports car racing. Let's head back to the lead. Michael Cooper back to within 0.2 now of Scott Andrews. He cut down on that 0.6 gap, but what can he do with it?
Yeah, he was actually a little bit closer than that. A couple of corners as they came out of Canada corner, he was up in the right quarter pounder of Andrews. So he's definitely put the heat back on. Maybe he let his tires cool off a little bit, but these guys are running fast. He was 0.4 faster than Andrews that last lap.
Takes a tiny little look down into turn 5. Both of them nice and tidy. Scott Andrews, though, maybe a little closer to that apex. Cooper closer to the apex. As we ride on board, another hello to the nose of that bright red and gray machine. He is making sure that the 44 knows he's there.
Yeah, that battle cooled off for a little bit, for a few laps, and now it's heated right up. This is probably the best battle on the track. Fortunately, it is for the lead. They have gapped Mansilla up to 11 seconds at this moment.
Interesting to note, we've had a distinct drop in temperature as this race has gone on. It's now down to 83 degrees Fahrenheit. Not incredibly drastic, but enough that the handling of the cars might be a little bit different. Who's got it where it's a very flexible car, flexible setup, be able to run well in just about any condition. Down into Canada corner, this time Cooper, not quite as close as we saw from that onboard.
Yeah, and as we get through this race, the fuel is going to burn off. They do carry quite a bit of fuel. I believe it's close about 30 gallons. So that's a lot of weight they got to start with. And as that temperature drops, the cars are going to get faster and faster. Some guys are going to be able to adapt to it, and some are just not. It is open setups as they come down to the start-finish line one more time. Andrews is going to take the inside line. He's kind of weaving a little bit. Cooper not quite close enough, but he knows he's there.
Interesting that halfway up the straight, Andrews now trying to break that draft. He's tired of this game. He wants to try and shake Michael Cooper, considering the way that Cooper gets back onto him pretty quickly each time. I don't think that's going to be easily done. As they come down the moraine sweep once again, that was a good exit from Cooper. Is this going to be another good shot down into turn 5? We ride on board with the 10. It's a little bit far back, but a dive like we saw with Barbosa could do it. He does show his nose, but he comes back to the racing line. Off of turn 5 now. Much better exit from the number 44. This gap continues to grow back to third place. Now 12 seconds to Mansilla in the number 7. And we got some action in 12th. Looks like Tyler Cook and Pasek swapping positions as James is going to get back by, get into that 12th spot once again. Tyler Cook follows him in that black machine.
Yeah, Tyler Cook took the inside line into turn 1, and Pesek did the crossover and made that pass happen as they come out of turn 3, under the cheese bridge, down into turn 5.
I'd say that there was a little bit of a mistake coming off of turn 3 there from Cook that I could see. Lost some time. Oh, and he's going to have another little wiggle coming off of turn 5, getting his tires into the dirt. Holds onto it.
Ooh, gets on the dirt
and another.
Again.
Wow.
Yeah, he's trying really hard. Unfortunately, that's going to bring in Blum right up behind him, basically to join that battle. That, yeah, he's really trying hard. He did not want to give up that spot to Pesek.
I'd say he's going to have to give up the ghost the way that this is going to ride on board with Cook. Dealing with a very loose car right now. We're getting a little bit of lap traffic. Michael Johnson, who we saw come into the pits earlier, has Scott Andrews and Michael Cooper approaching in his mirrors. Have to imagine that Cooper sees this and is licking his chops.
Yeah, Johnson unfortunately had to come in to repair his car, and it's put him back almost a lap down. These guys are coming pretty fast, and they'll pick up the draft here pretty quickly.
I think I see another person joining Peter down in pit lane. Looks like Simeone is strolling towards you. Did you see what's going on there, Peter?
I'll have a look.
So he heads down the lane to try and find that. Riding on board with the Texas driver, looking back at P1 and P2. Not gaining as fast as I thought they would. Is there any sort of damage on
Simeone's in pit lane. This
quite...
is his second trip down pit lane.
Oof, unfortunate. So Ethan, who was relatively quick in the practice, was not able to capitalize in qualifying, and in the race he has paid for being back in the thick of it.
Yeah, Michael Johnson's getting a bunch of headlight flashes from Scott Andrews, so he's letting them know they're coming. Scott Andrews is able to gap Cooper a little bit at the moment, but Michael Johnson's going to have 2 cars coming as they go through Canada Corner. You can see it's really tightened up here. He has definitely gotten the blue flag at the moment, so he knows it there. He's going to have a good opportunity to pull over as they come onto the front straightaway.
He's taking a bit of an awkward line into the final turn, and an awkward exit as well for Andrews.
And Cooper gets wide coming off the corner, as you saw in the back, almost in the grass. Now he's flashing his lights at Johnson as Scott Andrews goes by.
Going to try and get the slipstream to make up for that lost time from that error. And great heads up from Johnson, letting them both through. Could have been a little more tidy, but, got the job done.
Yeah, I think Cooper saw his opportunity that Andrews is going to get held up a little bit, and he really gassed it coming off of that final corner. Unfortunately, car got a little sideways on him and lost all his momentum.
Still 16 cars on the lead lap, as Lafougue and French are 2 of them. And French is going to be able to get to the inside. Is that a lift from Lafougue?
Lafougue's got a little
very
bit
easily
of damage on the front of that car. It's not slowing him down a ton, but just enough to where he just can't hold that straightaway speed that French does.
That explains the easy overtake there from James French. Up in 4th place, Conright and Waddell now together. Foog was chasing Waddell earlier. Now that he's been freed up from that pressure, seems like he's responding well. The white machine of Conright has a mirror full of the 99. They're down the slight downhill run into the hurry downs and through the corner. This has been a trouble spot today, but those 2 navigate it successfully. Down to what is an estimated 10 laps to go. Still giving chase. Peter's been watching the timing sheets and has been noticing a few drivers have had some great gains today. Peters, who's having a good day?
Well, Nick Bull has been very impressive after starting from pit road. For some reason, we don't quite know why, but he's already up to 13th place. Also an update on Simeone. His engine is off. His day is over, unfortunately.
Sorry to hear that Simeone will not be able to finish the race today. Still 17 running total after our 4th retirement. Continue to watch Bull. Oh, and I think Lafougue just lost another one from Tom O'Gorman. Well, he might be able to get it back. He looked for an over-under. O'Gorman, with multiple mistakes today, has really made it a much more difficult task for himself than maybe it could have been. Looks like he is going to stay in that 10th spot.
Yeah, you can really see the damage that Lafougue has when he goes down the straightaway. I was watching that pass, and Gorman kind of just went right by him. Gorman getting quite lucky. I thought he had a lot more damage than he did earlier when he pancaked the wall. He's able to keep going. He's up to 10th spot. Didn't start on the pole. He's had a very eventful day, and you can see he's got French in front of him. And Gorman is fast. He was on the pole, so we know that. So we'll see if he can catch up and maybe take top 9.
Up in 4th place, Conright under threat, down to the inside into turn 5. Waddell manages to get the car to the apex. Can he get it off the corner successfully? He's on the throttle. Conright is too, and he's got a good run. A look to the inside, but it's not good enough. Down into turn 6, he gets chopped off as Waddell up to 4th.
Yeah, that's a very good move. These two have been together since the beginning.
Oh, we have a wreck for Scott Andrews, our former leader. He has hit the wall. It was side by side. This started into turn 5 between himself and Cooper. The battle started to erupt, and you can see the damage here on the live picture. We've got the replay. It was a mistake out of turn 5.
Oh, they're going to come into contact right here at the apex, right there, and it's going to send Andrews head on into the wall. Cooper's going to be able to get going.
Watch from
Cooper's going to get going again, but he's got some heavy damage. And you go on board. You see right here that boom, and just kind of spins him. And unfortunately, that's going to end his race. He is going again, but he does have a lot of damage.
Doesn't look like he has much top end speed too. Oh, and he's missing that rear wing. So let's go back to that battle we were watching just before that erupted between Waddell and Conright. Now that Ben has gotten by, well, he's got another friend there.
Behind.
Yeah.
And they're going to catch Andrews here for that second spot.
Ooh,
or for third spot, sorry.
Scott is probably not feeling good right now, thinking he had a podium in his hands at the least, if not a win. And easily by into the first corner. Waddell now onto that podium. I'm kind of surprised that Andrews didn't head down into pit lane and just take a spare car. The way that thing is limping around right now. Maybe he's going to try and grab onto the back here of Ben.
He might have not realized how slow it's going to be until he gets through this whole lap. But he's feeling that right now as Conright goes right on by him. So that's going to move Scott Andrews down to 5th spot.
Many miles an hour difference between himself and the cars that are pristine. Certainly going to be tough to try and come back from this. We watch from now 3rd place Ben Waddell in the 99. Conright probably knows at this point that there's even more at stake now that they've gone by the former leader. Michael Cooper, though, after this is sitting pretty. A clean car, a 12-second gap, and pretty much nobody around him, not even lap traffic.
Nah, he could just basically cruise the rest of the way. He has no problems, but this battle for 3rd is going to heat up between Waddell and Conright. Scott Andrews is going to have another friend coming soon. Root is not that far behind, so he might lose another spot in the waning laps.
Watching P3 here. Waddell ahead of Conright. Jaden follows him into Canada corner, but not close enough to attack. He's starting to run out of laps. We are about 14 minutes left to go, and I think I saw an issue for Tyler Cook just now.
Yeah, he lost it coming out of turn 5 and clipped and spun into the inside wall. Got going again.
And I think did that lose him in position?
Yeah, I think he got passed by Barbosa.
Let's take a look at that one. This is the first time I think we've seen this sort of incident at turn 5. Most of them have been at 6 and 8 today. There's the tail end of Cook's incident.
You can see by the skid marks, he's just going to get on the outside lane here. Tires are getting a little worn out. Just kind of gets in the dirt, and away we go into the inside wheel. Pretty much a lot of our incidents have been like that, getting on the outside dirt, whether it's turn 5 or turn 8. That's been a common problem.
Oh, and it looks like instead of befriending other drivers, now Scott Andrews is befriending Peter McKay. He's joined you down there. Peter, has he taken his free repair, or what's going on?
Well, I'm sure I'm more glad of his company than he is of mine. I think he's taking a repair because, as far as I can tell, the engine is still running, so it looks like he's taking a repair. Yes, he is. He's off the jacks, so he should be going soon. I'll keep you updated.
Car looks clean. That looks like a free repair to me.
Yeah, it looks like he's taking fuel. He probably should have clicked that off because he's sitting there, and he's going to lose a few more spots, but he's still going to stay on the lead lap.
We're going to watch the battle for third once again. Con Wright still giving chase, but hovering at about this same distance. And at this stage in the race, I would think it'd be go time, Richie. So I imagine this is just sheer pace between these two, not that he's waiting for anything.
We're getting down to the last moments of this race, so if you got something for the guy in front, now's the time to start making it happen.
Follows him through Canada once again. A little slow compared to Waddell through that corner this time as we watch through the windscreen, and the car continues to get smaller. Ben, having started this race in 7th up to 3rd, a nice gain. Certainly took advantage of some other people's woes. Of course, we lost to Gorman from the pole, and now we lost Andrews for a bit to the pit lane. Speaking of O'Gorman, this is interesting. He is on the back of French now. This will be for 8th place between these two, and wow, he is fast. He's gained time even since this little bit that we put the cameras on him. 0.4 of a second now. Don't think it's going to happen on this straightaway, but I would be willing to put money on turn 5 being the spot he gets himself up to that next position.
Yeah, it's been an unfortunate race for Tom there. He's battled his way back up to the front, but I'm really it really would have been interesting to see how it would have gone if we would have had a Gorman, Cooper, and Andrews all tagging along at the front here near the end.
It looks like here's the shot coming off of the corner from O'Gorman. Definitely was pushing it. More blinking, unfortunately, from French. That'll make him a little bit nervous at least, but the 94, as he chases him into turn 5, well, my money would have been lost because he is way too far back on this one.
Just an update on Scott Andrews, guys. He is out of the race. Repeat, Scott Andrews, our former leader, is out of the race, sadly.
Another retirement. And it looks like Joao Barbosa is in pit lane. So not sure what's going on there. So we stick with this battle for 8th place. O'Gorman, now before he's made multiple mistakes that have cost him, let's see if he can keep them from happening yet again. They weave it through the carousel. As they come down towards the kink. If O'Gorman gets the launch, French might be under threat. Oh, it's looking good. And he's going to have the draft. Heading down into Canada corner. And once again, he's going to have to hang back. Ooh, that was a great exit, though, off that corner. Look at him hug the rear bumper of that number 45. This is where he needs to be close, though. Coming onto the main straight. What does our pole sitter have for him? Oh, falling back off of him one more time. And O'Gorman, it seems like corner exits might be a little bit of an Achilles heel.
Yeah, sometimes you can be a little bit aggressive getting on the throttle, and you can see he dropped his wheel in the dirt. So he's going to need to just kind of time that a little bit better and be a little smoother. He has the speed. You just got to time it.
On the brakes, he looks pretty good. As they get back through turn 1 once again. We're down to 5 laps to go at this point. Cooper just cruising around up front. Don't need to go to him as we stay on this battle. Oh, and this is one of the best chances yet, possibly, for the 94. He is dealing with some damage, too. We haven't mentioned that, at least not recently. So Tom could be a little bit slow in a straight line, and maybe that's hampering him slightly. Certainly is making life a little bit of a headache for him trying to get this one spot.
Here's where he's had both his incidences right there in that corner. It's been a tough day for him. He's still getting closer. He's going to make this move soon.
A little bit ahead of them, Macquarie is being chased by Dakota Dickerson, as Dakota is certainly making sure that he feels the pressure. Mentioned Dickerson coming from the Prototype Challenge, also raced in the America's F3 and F4 series. Finished third in the championship for F4s in 2017.
Yeah, Dakota's got a good run on him. Not going to quite try to make that chance here in Canada Corner, but he's going to get a good run up the hill heading towards turn 14. We'll see what these guys can do. If he can get a good run coming out of that last corner, he'll have a really nice chance to take that position from Macquarie into turn 1.
We've got very different lines between the two of them. Who's going to get the better exit is the big question out of that. And I'd say that Dakota has the slight edge as they come up and over the crest, past that flag stand once again. Dakota Dickerson reeling him in, down to 2 car lengths, down to 1 car length. He looks to the inside. Macquarie doesn't defend. He lets him go. He's got to execute the pass now, though. No over-under from Macquarie, so give P6 to Dakota Dickerson.
Yeah, very clean move. He got a really good run out of 14, just picked up the trap. Macquarie didn't fight too hard. He knows there's a few laps to go, and he's going to have another chance to get that position back. That's one thing beautiful about this track is there's many passing opportunities.
Right here, as he's going to look to the inside, and similar situation. Dakota's not going to defend on him. Going to let him try and outbrake him. Tries to turn into the apex. They almost make contact. Now they're going to be side by side. Up through the Corvette bridge and into turn 6, deep into that corner with Dakota Dickerson, and he's going to claim it back.
Yeah, that was a good move. That's a tough move to make because it's a blind entry. If you get in there too deep, you're going to wash out to the outside edge. So nicely done by Dakota Dickerson taking that position back, but Macquarie's going to have an answer for him as they come into the carousel.
If we could get a replay, because it looks like Tom finally got by James for that 8th position after we had been watching it for so long. Oh, is this down into Canada Corner? So he'll take a brave move. Oh, it was a mistake from French. Wow, he's lucky that car's still going, if anything. Too off in the grass through the kink and lives to tell the tale. Had a change of position for 13th. Travis Hill overtook Tyler Cook. Don't need a replay of that one.
We also had a mistake by Macquarie. That battle we were watching, they were coming through the kink, and it looks like Macquarie made a mistake, clips the inside wall. That's why he's dropped so far back. Oh, yes. Yep, let's go to that replay because that was a battle we were watching. And it looks like he just kind of got in the wash here going into the kink.
Here's the initial pass. This is down into turn 5. The incident happens in the kink.
Yeah, that's the pass, and they go up into under the Corvette bridge, and Dakota takes that pass back. But I just happened to go back to this and watch them, and then when they went to the kink, as we watch the replay, we're going to get there in a second. Unfortunately, that battle's done with.
On board. I wonder if we could see the hands here for Macquarie as he deals with this moment. Stark contrast to what we saw with French, who caught the car and managed to keep going after putting his wheels off, and Macquarie is going to fall victim to the reverse of it. Finds himself.
You can see he's trying to get this run. He's coming up to the kink right here, and it just kind of snaps on him a little bit to the inside wall. He keeps going, but he loses all his pace right here. Little loose.
Looks like the curb.
Boom. And he's going to keep going, but that battle's over at the moment.
He climbed that inside curb. I wonder if that upset the car. Big swipe on the concrete for the 39. He's down to 7th because of it. So as we go back to our leader, Michael Cooper, not sure if he's backed off or if Mansilla has picked up the pace. What was 12 seconds before is now down to 10 seconds. It's certainly not dire for the number 10 car.
Yeah, I think Cooper's just backed off his pace. He's running high 17s. Mancilla's running about the pace he was running, so he's got 10-second gap. No reason to push it.
As this is happening, it looks like Pasek, who's struggling at the end of this thing, has Nick Boole closing in on him. This is for 12th and 11th position. Let's watch from Nick's perspective the double lot. Or as I love one of our commentators, Chris Phoebe, deemed it the ooh car. Not nearly there for now. And he's only going to have 2 laps to do it because Cooper crossed the line with a little over 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, you're looking at the best battle on the track at the moment. Pretty much everybody else is spread out evenly enough to where there's not much battling going on.
As they come up the front stretch here, Boole's still doing everything he can, trying to get this one last spot. We're going to be down to 15 drivers left over 21 starters. This is not a track known for attrition being a thing. Kind of surprised that we had as many as we did that called it a day early.
Yeah, we had a few drivers that probably could have gotten back out there. I don't know if they were mad or what, but they called it a day when they probably could have continued on. It's been a good race so far.
Boole with wheels off out of turn 1. That'll cost him a little bit of time, but he kept his foot in it, and he keeps it going, so he's still chasing Pasek here. We're going to watch from on board. Looking back at Boole now. Ooh, and gaining down into the braking zone. Black and yellow machine starting to look a little bit threatening. We are getting the white flag right now from Michael Cooper as he heads down the front stretch. Been a fantastic race for that number 10 car from 3rd to the lead. Ooh. And we've got cars coming down pit lane, both Mansilla and Conright.
I wonder if they misjudged the fuel.
Could be.
So it looks like they're coming in. Unfortunately, sometimes when you go do the fuel, it depends on when that leader takes that white flag is when the race is going to be over. Yeah, looks like fuel. He's gonna give up that 3rd spot. Give it to Benjamin Waddell. Nicely done.
Waddell up to 2nd.
Oh, we got contact as Mansilla came out of the pit lane.
I think that was Macquarie.
Yep. Yeah, let's go to that because as Mansilla comes out of the pit lane, he has a fast car coming up on him, and he just pulls right into the fast lane and sends him right off the road.
And there's some sort of glitch or something with Macquarie. Because he comes to a very sudden halt. That doesn't look normal. Yeah, something weird happened there. This means that Root is now in 3rd as well. Dakota Dickerson up into the top 5 is now in 4th.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Mansilla. He's going to keep going, but he did lose a spot to Root and Waddell.
At least it was the short stop. And it's been hopefully a short enough race for Michael Cooper. I'm sure he wanted it over sooner rather than later, knowing he had that lead wrapped up. But he kept cool. He kept the mistakes away. And as Michael Cooper comes out of the final corner and up the hill here at Road America, he is going to be the winner of the first round of the IMSA iRacing Challenge Series. Nicely done. Waddell, a bit of a distance second, but a second is a second. And the 99 is going to be on the podium today, having qualified in 7th.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Maxwell Root behind him as well. Just going by Johnson, who has one last spin for his woes there in the background. Maxwell Root, another one, doing very well today, going from 8th to 3rd, gaining just as many positions as Ben. Mansilla, let's see, this is him ahead of O'Gorman. O'Gorman actually challenging him to the line. Is that right?
Yeah,
it was.
It was.
Let's take another look there. O'Gorman just must have been on a beautiful run here, and it caught him right on the last lap. Wow, Tom going almost to the tail of the field and finishing in 6th in the end after spinning twice. Great recovery. Looks like Boole is going to be just behind Pesic. The 40, I think, has got this one because Nick is a number of car lengths back as they cross the line. That's going to be our last fight, as just 2 more cars can finish on the lead lap. That's going to take us to a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We're going to come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, but stick around because on screen, you're going to see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to the IMSA iRacing Challenge here at Road America. The first round was a stunner. Certainly had some great battles for the lead, great battles all through the field. But in the end, it was Michael Cooper who took the victory, and it was Ben Waddell who wound up in second, almost kind of cruising his way into that position as everybody else around him fell by the wayside. Same thing with Max Root, who finished in third. Dakota Dickerson, we didn't cover this in the race, from 13th on the grid to 4th. This guy is certainly quick and consistent. Dorian Mansilla, unfortunately, taking a pit stop at the end, we believe, for a splash of fuel after miscalculating. A little trouble as well with some contact after that. Tom O'Gorman, he put it on pole, and even though he climbed back to 6th after multiple incidents, he's got to be kicking himself for throwing away a better opportunity. James French finished behind him in 7th with Jaden Conwright in P8. Then you've got Gregory Lafougue finishing 9th, and Pesic rounds out our top 10.
Yeah, coming home 11th is going to be Nicholas Boole. Tyler Cook coming home 12th. Travis Hill had a good battle with Barbosa earlier on. He's going to come home 13th, last car in the lead lap. Unfortunately, Tyler McQuarrie's not going to be happy with this finish as he got caught out by a exiting car on the pits and is going to finish 14th. Michael Johnson 15th. Scott Andrews, man, was the lead early on and a little bit of contact with Cooper. Just a racing incident through the kink or through the right before Hurry Downs. Unfortunately, ends his day in 16th. Raul Barbosa in 17th. Ethan Simeone 18th. Gabby Chavez 19th. Your own Blake Gorman in 20th and Connor Blum in 21st.
Now, we've seen over on the IndyCar side, Richie, that after a few of the drivers got caught by the bug, I guess you could say, here with sim racing, they suddenly started taking it very seriously. We heard tales of many, many hours of practice. You think we're going to be seeing that with some of our drivers here today?
Oh, absolutely. I think you got a few drivers that showed up late and realized that they were a little bit out to lunch. Also, with open setups, that changes everything. So you have to put your time in, work with your team. If you have a teammate, work on a setup. And I think we'll see this group close up a little bit as we get to the next round.
I'm certainly looking forward to that. Looks like we haven't had anybody come in to join us, unfortunately, so I'm not sure we'll get any interviews today. Definitely encourage the drivers to come in and talk to us. We'd love to hear what it's like from on board afterwards. But for now, we're going to close out with some thank yous. Of course, a big thank you to both Michelin and IMSA for helping make this broadcast possible. As well, thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. You can see them listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, Richie, Sean, Peter, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or also check us out on social media. Our Twitter is @GSR Channel. Facebook is Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, we've got a merchandise store. It's gsrc.storenv.com. The link is in the description below. But while you're there, if you haven't subscribed yet, click the big red button that says subscribe on our YouTube page so that you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race, we are going to Virginia International Raceway, another very long track, but very different in how it's set up. That'll be Thursday, May 28th at 2:45 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.